All right. Hello, everybody. This is Sketch Parker. I've got Spartan 2 with me and LaVulpe, and we have SharpArcher on voice. We'd like to go over a couple of basic things about how you can improve your game. Let's start with SharpArcher. I mean, these videos are great. YouTube is great, but getting engaged with the community and actually getting engaged with people who know what they're doing and can give you hands-on training, I think, is a huge benefit. SharpArcher, what do you think?
Yep. So, hey guys, I'm SharpArcher. What I do is I teach basic swordplay, and hopefully trainings will be on Fridays at 5 p.m. This next one's gonna be Thursday at 8 p.m. just to try out different days, see how many people come. What you can expect at these trainings is hands-on, one-on-one time, and also group play. So if you go to Twitch and you look at SharpArcher, I have a video saved of our first training session. We start off with drills, then we move on to dueling, and then we move on to group work.
All right, and I will be adding a link to his Twitch in the description here, so that you can go ahead and check that out. I'd strongly encourage it.
Yep. And
go ahead.
And if you cannot come that day, just join up in the chat and throw in some questions. I'll try my best to respond, and we can interact that way as well.
Very cool. All right, I'd like to pass it over to Spartan. He's got some things that he wants to show us regarding axes
battle axe.
And
yeah, large battle axe.
Oh, seem to have missed my sword. I'll be right back.
All right.
So, if you want to give us an overview of what you want to show us today.
So, battle axe. It's not very used very often. Not a lot of people use the battle axe, or, the great sword's pretty popular now. But a lot of things with the battle axes, I see a lot of people being really, really getting the grind, like just getting really into the swing. And you don't really need to do that. That's just show your opponent, oh yeah, I'm gonna block here. You always want to be unpredictable with your swings, and make sure they don't know where you're gonna hit next. You want to keep it, nice and smooth. Nice, quick, smooth hits. You don't want to get a big wind up in. They're going to know where you're going to hit, and they're going to block it, and then you're going to get stabbed in the chest. Another one is being mobile. I know a lot of people get really stiff-armed and then just kind of swing really slowly and really hard. You want to get into the groove, you want to just loosen up a bit. You don't want to be all tightened up when you're playing battle axe and stuff, because you'll just get smacked. Your defensive is not very good, but there's a thing called staggering, where you can break one blade, wait for it to recharge, and then keep smacking with the other blade. You keep chaining hits. You can get constant DPS with this, and it's really great for people that use really face-hugging weapons like dagger or one-handed axe or sword. Another thing is just, keeping, making sure, I gotta think. Another thing is just kind of, making sure you're keeping your blades out of other people's blades. I know a lot of katana mains will just run at you and wiggle their stuff at you. You want to make sure you're always ready to move this around. Make sure you're always out of blade, because if you get knocked out, this has a super long regen time, and some weapons can get 2 hits in before you can get 1 in. You always want to make sure your weapon is not breaking first, and you want to make clean hits under their head. You're never going to hit body shots, almost never. Another thing is crouching down and hitting leg sweeps. Those are very, very powerful leg sweeps. Each one does around 40 damage, I'm not pretty sure though. Headshots do 80. So it's always great to open up with a quick head stab if you can. If not, I recommend a leg sweep. And leg sweeps are good against tall people because they can't really defend down there, so you can just hit their ankles a lot. So that's pretty much all I got for battle axe.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, LaVulpe, I was talking with you a little bit earlier, and you've got some awesome tactics for being able to, switch things up with a spear, even when you only have one hand, as well as some great pointers on polearms in general. Do you want to share?
Sure. So, to everybody out there, I'm LaVulpe. I am the primary combat instructor and formations instructor, as well as one of the community managers. So if you guys come into the server and ever need help with anything, feel free to DM me. So generally, for when you're fighting with a spear and shield, it's best to do it in a formation with other people. Because if you're dueling with a spear and shield, you don't really have a whole lot of options. Your attacks are somewhat predictable, and if somebody has a smaller weapon, they can close in on you. So typically, when you're fighting with a formation and you need to change up your ranges, what you can do is we have enough of a physics system here that you can plant the butt of your spear in the ground, and it will balance there long enough for you to shift your grip, if I don't completely beans that, to shift your grip up and down your spear one-handed, which is fantastic because if I have people to either side of me, I don't have time to flail my spear around over my shoulder and try and get it comfortable. I've only got so much room to operate in. But I can just scooch down and grab it wherever I need to, assuming it doesn't bug. Another thing, while it's like this, it's usually not a good idea to ever hold your spear what people call Spartan style, where it's underhanded stabbing downwards like this, because you can only attack this way, and you have this giant end that you can't really control flailing around over your shoulder, which tends to smack your buddies in the face if you're in a group. You can do the exact same attacks holding it this way, but by just turning your wrist, you have more control, and you can also stab it up in the same maneuver.
Very cool. So there was another thing that we had spoken about that we'd like to demonstrate for you here is, I had touched base a little bit in a previous video about line fighting and fighting with an ally in front of you, or even fighting with allies next to you. There's some important etiquette that I think that really needs to be discussed. As you know, if you can stick out your sword, if I touch his sword, it breaks, and it's no good for anybody. But if we are next to each other, it's same with a shield. So if we are next to each other, we are going to be hugging in, and we are going to be up, and we're going to be thrusting downwards. At no point am I ever going to put my weapon in his swing zone. Same with my shield. It is going to be blocking me. If I need to, I can edge it over a little bit, but for the most part, he's going to be trusting himself to get that block in. Very rarely are you going to be diving in with the block to save a partner. This is going to be leaving you completely exposed.
On a side note, though, during team battles, if you are on the same team, your shields will not break on your allies' shields. Which means if you do want to get an overlapping system going, you can. It will not break your shield. It only breaks it on here because we're in same team.
Ah, very good to know. I didn't actually know that. Spartan, I was hoping that maybe you could come over here. If you were to jump behind us. So, let me see. Actually, let me grab you something a little bit longer. Yeah, that'll work. So, if we are like this, typically speaking, it's going to be very difficult for Spartan to get his axe in between us if we're going to be performing these strikes. It's going to be very difficult for him to get a strike in. Most likely, he's going to be working the sides. Now, if he's working the sides, I'm going to have to be sure that I'm respecting his space as he's going to either side, but I need to trust him because he's in the back. If you are behind someone, it's your responsibility to make sure you do not strike their weapon or shield. This is because they can't see you, you can see them. So if you ever find yourself on the bridge in Cherry Blossom or something along those lines, make sure that if you're in the rear, you're giving them the healthy amount of respect they need to properly protect themselves and deal damage.
If you like, I can show a quick thing for that, if you like to get your shield back out again.
Yep.
So if you're a polearm user and you're stacked up behind a shieldsman, no matter how they're fighting, you can actually operate around them effectively. If he is right-handed, for example, and he's keeping his blade up here, that means the lower left side of his body is almost always going to be free for me to move around as I need. Likewise, he doesn't see me, but he can see my weapon. So if I pull up to his shoulder to cover his guard here, he can see my spear is here. And if he knows what he's doing, he won't swing over here. He'll keep his swings contained over here. I can keep my opponent this side of their body and slap away any weapons that might get past his guard so he can focus on getting a hit in. Likewise, since I'm using him as a shield, I don't need to worry much about my own safety. I can stay busy on keeping him alive.
Oh, actually, that also brings up one more good point. Spartan, could I borrow you for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that we're in a line, rather than when you're in a line and there's no risk of overstepping yourself and breaking someone else, if there's no spear right next to you, when you're focusing on the person in front of you, that is the primary combatant. But if there's someone right next to them, and they're focusing on the person there, a diagonal strike is not out of the question, and most times you'll succeed much more on someone who is not focusing on you than you are the person directly in front of you.
The man directly in front of you is not going to be the man that kills you. The man that kills you is the man next to him that you're not looking at.
Exactly.
Because if he's fighting Spartan over here, however they're fighting, if he breaks his blade on Spartan, I can go, oh, there's an opening, and take my shot on him, even if I'm fighting somebody here. I only need to glance over, see there's an opening, stab him, and then get back to what I'm doing.
That's especially useful for anybody with reach as well. If you have a spear, and he's right next to me, he's likely going to be doing stabs in directions that are not directly in front of me. This is only because I'm focused on blocking here. If he's able to get around and do a stab in people on either side of me or in the person in front of me, he's going to be taking those shots, right? If they're... Whoop. If it's a one-on-one, we had talked about the, I don't know if we want to cover this in this one. Did you want to cover the changing grips quickly for different engagements if I was to rush?
Oh, sure. Sure, I can do that.
If you want to go ahead and give them a quick talk about what you're about to do, and then we'll show them.
All right, so this is how to quickly close up or choke up on a longer weapon. If I'm fighting someone like Sketch here who has a sword and shield, naturally, he doesn't want to be at this distance with me. Because out here, I can reach him, he can't reach me. I'm a threat, he's not. He's going to want to close up on me and get to a point where he has more of an advantage with his reach. Yes, my hands can slide in this game, but it takes a long time to shuffle up here and get comfortable, and sometimes you might not get that grab right. A much quicker way to change that up is let go with whatever hand is at the bottom, turn it, and grab it farther up the weapon. Because now, if he comes in at me, I can break his with my shaft, choke up, and now I've got a very short weapon. It's basically a knife with a long stick on the end. And I can attack with this end, and then pull and cover myself with this end while I get back.
All right.
And if he stays in my face, I can just keep choked up, and then if I get my range again, I just let go with this hand, pull it back to this hand, and I've got full range all over again.
Very cool. Spartan, is there anything else that you wanted to contribute?
Yeah, there is. So this is based on the actual, like, more of a Spartan spear shield style. I know me and my buddy have been doing this a lot, hence the name Spartan. So we've came up with how the whole main reason is because we figured out how to choke up quickly and how to choke up reliably. Because you can lose it like that. If I drop it sporadically, it flies away. A great thing about that is we found that putting it behind your back and grabbing it. Oh, that's not what I meant to grab.
Helps you
Grabbing it. You basically, wherever you grab on the spear is where it will put your hand at. It's actually based on where the spear is at. So I can grab it here, and it grabs exactly where I grab my hand at. But I don't see it on my back. But that's a really quick way to choke up with it. If you're in a battle and you can't drop your spear, stop, and then pick it up down here at the very bottom. It's a very easy way, but it can be unreliable, especially when you're moving, because the hitbox is flying back and forth. But we noticed that your attacks can be very unpredictable, and self-parrying is very, very powerful. Self-parrying is where you hit your hand on the tip of the thing, on the tip of the shield, and it parries. And this can be used for breaking people's blades and then stabbing. So you can parry, break, stab, and quick stab, and then you reach in at the same time they do. Basically getting 2 free stabs in at the same time. Another thing is keeping your shield always on you. I know a lot of people just swing and put their shield out like this. You're completely open for a headshot, body shot, leg shot, whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. You always want to keep your shield in front of you when you go for a stab. And velocity is very important here. A lot of stabs when you go full forwards did not get enough velocity. I recommend something like a curve stab. You can get a lot more velocity with that than you can with this. But you can also get overhead stabs. And stabs to the back of someone's neck or back to their legs are very powerful. Because you can stab over top of someone and hit them in the legs. Leg sweeps are also good. Because if they're low and you're not going to be able to get a shot in, say someone with a greatsword or katana, you just slap their legs and they're dead. Making sure your shield is always generated is very important. You don't want someone with a greatsword to just wiggle inside of you and then break all your parts here. Granted, you can still block with that, but it's not very reliable. People can go through that. you always want to make sure you have one thing. So if someone's coming at down you with the greatsword, instead of going like this, maybe angle it a bit like that, because then you can save 2 parts, maybe 3 parts, if you're lucky.
Another important thing to note is always remember, we do have shield bashing in this game. If I punch him in the face with this, it will break all of his weapons and reset him on the timer. Which means if he's closing in on me and my spear is broken and I need to defend myself right now, I can hit him, use my opening, and then continue on. As long as one of these 2 things is live, I can stay a threat.
Now, shield bashing does not very a high DPS thing. It does 4 damage max. It's not recommended. It's usually just to get yourself into a situation so you can get it.
It's not to, you don't shield bash to deal damage, you shield bash to disable their weapons and force them to reset.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a defensive maneuver done offensively.
All right. Well, very much appreciate everybody taking the time. I hope to have a couple more videos here interviewing anybody who has excellent tips to provide to the community. In the meantime, definitely join the Discord. Any new person, highly recommended. The community is great, and you're going to find training videos, helpful advice, people to spar with. It's all there. So, any last words, anybody?
No, I think we covered it.
All right. Very cool. Thanks.